A couple things happened with the latest update. They threw a whole lot of gold in our direction. I think in the last day I've gotten over 2 million additional gold. And Bovus El Doro became significantly more valuable due to the way the dungeon rating, especially on defense, works. I talked about that a little bit in the update video that I just put out not very long ago. There's quite a bit that's changed there, and I think we're going to probably have more videos coming out on those mechanics coming up shortly. But I wanted to make a video to use some of this gold and do some great summons. So this is going to be quick, but we'll go through a lot of them. From what I've read on the forums, Bovus El Doro has the highest drop rate of any of the heroes in the gold summon, in the great summon. So we're going to test that out. Do you want to go slow enough so we can see? Went through some of those too quickly. But I think the tokens only show up in these gold chests. We get some for Stonefist. There we go. So I'd like to get Bovus El Doro up in star levels a little higher. Right now I have him, but he's only at the 1-star level. Alexandros is a surprising character to have in the Great Summon, but I looked through there. He does come up sometimes. Just for being a 3-star, it's fairly uncommon. I'm going to try to use like 2 million gold on this. I'll feel comfortable still having 2.5 million left. I do recommend as well for this one, don't do the individual 10,000. Go ahead and save up. Make sure you've got at least 100,000 so you can do these times 10 rolls. Then you can get, I think it's 5 of the gold chests. Gold chests are just much more valuable than those silver chests. You can see we're still getting a fair number of hero tokens. And if you've got a lot of gold like this, it's not a bad way to use it. At this point I've had enough gold to keep all my core people that are leveled as high as I can keep them leveled up. Probably about, 8 characters. All of their skills are fully leveled anyway, so there's not a lot of other places that I'd need to put this gold. Keeping your skills leveled to the max for those core people that you use a fair amount, that is the highest priority. But after that, then this is a good use. I've been playing now for about a month and a half, and I would say somewhere around a month, gold becomes more plentiful. And it may be, now that they've added a few things, see a YouTube comment coming in, they've added a few more sources of gold. It may be that it's more plentiful even earlier in the game. Yeah, and these gold ones are the ones I want to see. I've seen a lot of Stonefist, and so far I haven't noticed a higher probability of getting Bovus, but even getting a few for him, getting up to that 2nd star level would be great. If we can get him up to the 2nd star just using this, there we go, there's some more, using about 2 million, I'd be happy with that. Doesn't hurt to get Alexandros in there as well. And I'm happy anytime that I see Willow come up. Willow's one of the core characters I try to keep leveling up, especially helpful when doing dungeon raiding. One of the big things you use her for is to clear out water-based enemies that are going to cause trouble, like Yokozuna. He's a favorite for a lot of people to have on the defensive side for dungeon raiding. And one of the best ways to counter that is to put in 1 or 2 fast characters that can take him out before he gets a chance to daze your party. There we go, some more on Bovus. Now, I mentioned in the update video, but I haven't mentioned yet why Bovus is so much more powerful now. And the biggest reason is that the mechanics have changed while doing dungeon raiding. And it was really a huge change. previously, the way it worked... It's nice, Kobal's ready to go for his next upgrade. Previously, the way that it worked was that the defending team had the priority for going first. Fast players on the defending team would go before fast players on the offensive team, and then all the way down the line that way. So that, you know, most of the characters are normal speed, and those would go first on the defensive side, and then the offensive side. Now that made a big difference, and it's really a huge benefit, because you have all 4 characters going first, and the way they evened out so that it wasn't just a landslide was that they made it so that lots of the skills that were, especially the Mass Effect skills, like Polar Pounding, which can be a devastating skill, both because of the damage and because it has the potential to freeze the whole party. They put a delay on all those skills for the defending side, so that Polar Pounding couldn't be used until the 3rd turn, and Soul Shred for Tasumi, and a lot of the other... That was basically the rule across the board for everyone other than Julius, and I assume... So Julius they still let use his Mass Effect spell on the 1st turn, and I assume the reason they did that was because you've got to pay quite a bit of money for him, something like $70 or $75, and they wanted to give a nice bonus for people that were providing that level of support to the game. But everyone else, you couldn't use those high damage ones on the 1st turn. That seems to have changed. I'm a little bit curious to see if that was intentional or not. I read through the upgrade notes that they put out. They've got a little forum post on what changed with the update, and it wasn't listed there. At least that wasn't anything that I read. Felt like I read through them fairly thoroughly and didn't see any mention of changing that part of the dungeon raiding mechanics. But what does it mean? So the 1st turn now, the defenders are able to use all of their Mass Effect spells. And Bovus El Doro's spell is Stampede. It's a little bit different. So Polar Pounding has a chance to freeze, which is an amazing effect. The Stampede skill that Bovus El Doro has takes 1 energy away from everyone on the other team. And it's not like... So Chill only stops you from gaining energy that turn. But subtracting an energy means that skills like Polar Pounding and any other skill that would have been available on the 1st turn isn't anymore. And that can be incredibly powerful in dungeon raiding, where the whole raid is usually determined, you know, success or failure in those first 1 or 2 turns. And so I was just battling a group, and they had Bovus El Doro in their defending team, and I was getting ready to use IGOROK's Polar Pounding. Usually you've got to survive through that 1st turn, but if you can use Polar Pounding after that 1st turn, you can really turn the tide. And Bovus El Doro's attack dropped my energy back by 1, and that meant I couldn't use it, and that really slowed down our whole team. We had to take a whole 2nd turn's worth of damage because we couldn't finish off that team, and it just made it a lot harder. I did end up winning that battle. I think I show part of it in that video, but only because of the level difference that was there on that one that I was trying. There was like a 3 or 4 level difference in my team to their team. Which brings up another good point. I see a lot of people, especially in the upper levels, not so much in lower levels, where they'll have like a level 50 character level, but their team will be at 48, 46, 45, and 44, something like that. They'll all be spread out well below their actual character level. And it is hard to keep a defending team if that's not your usual campaign team and offensive team. It's hard to keep them all up to level, but if you've got characters that are 3, 4 levels below your level cap, it's going to be really hard to have any success in the defending side. So try to make sure your defending team is at their max level all the time. Keep going through these. There we go, another one for Bovus. It looks like we probably will get to 20, and maybe significantly higher. Nitpick's up to his next one now. Phemus. hopefully we'll go through so many of these now that you'll have a good feel for what the kind of distribution is going to look like. We should have done about 200 chests by the time we get done. So I'm looking forward to the changes, or to figuring out kind of the best new teams. The only downside is that a lot of the characters that became really powerful with this update became really powerful on the defending side. I don't have leveled up because they didn't used to be really powerful. And that means I'm going to need to really shift my kind of experience and potions and everything else that go into leveling those characters up. I think for the game that's beneficial for a couple reasons. One, it keeps everything more interesting. And two, for the game developers, it probably brings in a fair amount of additional revenue as people rush to buy gems and level up all their characters. However, I will not be rushing to level them up. I think they've built the game so that you can do fairly well with just consistent playtime and effort in building them up. I've mentioned before, I really like that daily gem, so that you can buy the 50 gems for 30 days, giving you 1,500 total gems. I think that's a really good value. It's only $3. And it really speeds up the amount of time until you can do the next 10 honor or heroic rolls. If you were just trying to earn those by grinding, getting the new levels over time and doing the daily quests, it would take quite a while. We're about halfway through now. But adding that extra 50 a day speeds it up, and I think makes it fairly reasonable. Kind of keeps me engaged, seeing that that's coming up soon. You can see we're at 2,500 now. We've only got to get up to 2,700. So not much longer. We'll have another video out on doing those rolls. I will probably hold off on this video unless I can get it in, unless I get that many more gems this weekend, which I might be able to with the new levels, and try to coincide my rolls with the days, with one of those events that gives you celestial evos in all the chests. They've got that event going right now. I'll probably see if I can rush to get in. I think that's an all weekend event, and do it during that time. Again, I would also recommend, if you can get that 2,700 and then save up for an event where you get even more out of it. If you do the times 10 chests for 2,700, you're guaranteed to get a hero, which means that over time, as you keep getting to that 2,700 level, you will eventually get all the heroic heroes. It might be sooner or faster depending on luck, but that's a real benefit that a lot of other games don't give you. In a lot of games, you can keep rolling and rolling, and there could be one hero that you really want, and you know, you'd have to try for a really long time, or just give up eventually. But here, you're guaranteed to get them over time, and that guarantee, I think, just gives us a lot more kind of faith in the game that we're going to be able to have fun and get that thing we're going for. So line those rolls up with special events. Any hero you don't get, anytime you get just chests, which aren't as valuable when you're doing heroic rolls, then under that event you'll also get celestial evos, which are very valuable as you try to ascend each of the characters. Love those Tasumi tokens as well. Nice, one more and we'll get Bovus El Doro to that 2nd star level. Tasumi's working on his 4th star level. I mentioned before, he's a very useful character, especially because of that Savage Fury skill. That huge multiplier he gets when his health goes down that increases his attack. A lot of times, if your party's doing poorly, you can turn that around and do really well by doing something like Soul Shred once his health goes down. So great, we've got Bovus El Doro up to that 2nd level now. Right, getting more of these those winged evos there. I was going to mention at higher levels, really all of the evos aside from the celestial, two-color evos become relatively common. Even the monarchs aren't that whole, and that's what that other one was, the kind of fat evo with the little wings on the back. That's kind of the third level. There's the larva, the smallest one, then the little baby wings, and then those monarch type evos. There's one of those three, obviously, for every element. But they're all relatively easy to get a hold of once you get to higher levels. The only ones that stay difficult are those two-color celestial evos. Nice, and this is another guy I'm going to be trying to level up over time and probably trying to concentrate on farming for his hero tokens more often. I was interested in him before. I think he's just kind of a cool character. Not nearly as survivable as IGOROK, but with a similar first skill and some more area effect skills for his after you ascend him. But one of the biggest things, and I mentioned this in the update video as well, because you can now use all those multi-person attack spells on your first turn, that makes a few characters all the more powerful. IGOROK is one of them, who's already super powerful. You can do polar pounding on the defensive side first turn. You can, potentially freeze the whole other team. Give you even more turns to take them out. Bovus El Doro, but then Selwyn the Enduring as well. He can basically freeze the whole other team as for a turn as well. And so if you have both of those, then there's a very good chance that A, you can freeze the whole team, B, you're doing a lot of damage to the whole other team, and C, that they don't get taken out. The big thing that I see happening, if they do maintain this kind of mechanic for the dungeon raiding, and they may revert it again if it wasn't an intended consequence of some of their work, is that fast teams will become even more valuable. Right now, fast teams are already fairly valuable if you can, especially for attacking, and sometimes on defense as well, but there are counters for them on defense. But on offense, there's a fair chance that with a really good ascended fast team, you can take out 2 of the 4 players on the other team in the first round, and that can really be crippling, like before they even get a chance to take a turn. So the fast teams that I've worked with before, you've got Black Diamond and Masuta, and both of those can do, that's Masuta Kira, they can both do multi-person attacks on that first round. And that could take the whole other team down to half health, or even a little over, a little bit under that much health remaining. And then you can use Willow and Shadow Blade to finish off 2 of the characters. That's usually not too difficult to do after they've had both of the area effect spells on them. And since all of those characters are fast, all of that happens before the normal speed characters on the defending team get to go. So if that other team is down to 2 characters, they can have a really hard time coming back from that. At the same time, it's hard to get an all-fast team fully leveled up and ascended as you were working your way up in the levels. 'Cause usually almost none of those characters are useful continually in the campaign. Maybe you'd have 1 or 2 of them in your campaign team. But they're usually pretty squishy, and they could be killed really quickly, so you don't usually use them in campaign mode. and oftentimes you don't do that for a defending team. You could probably. Mine, I haven't been able to ascend enough of them to, I think, make it viable. But hopefully before too long, we'll be able to do that. Okay, we've got about 3 of these sets left to go, and try to get down to about 2.5 million. We've gotten a lot of hero tokens in this. I went through, again, you'll see in the update video, there's a Gold Island and an Experience Island and an Evo Island. I did the 2nd level of the Gold Island today, and completing that with the 3-star brought in 86,000 gold. And so presumably you can do that every day. The next level would probably bring in 100 or more thousand gold per turn or per day. So you could potentially do this once a day without any problem. Since aside from this, I was able to bring in enough gold to get by raising all the characters anyway. There were a few more of these. So they don't come in very quickly. You're just getting usually 1 at a time. But that still adds up, and it's a lot faster than running levels. And we're basically getting 5 tokens. 5 or 6 tokens every time we do this ×10 summons. We'll go through this one and one more. And it probably is true that we've seen Bovus come up more than any of the others. I don't know that it's been many more times, but he probably is the most frequent. Get some more Yasmin. I do like, probably we've had, 5 or 6 for a lot of these characters. We're just moving all of them up. Maybe a little bit more by the time we're done. It might have been 7 or 8. I think for Bovus we've had over 10. It kind of tells you approximately how long it'll take to get him up all the way. Sir William, so my understanding is that when this happens, this 15 hero tokens gained, it would have unlocked him. Because he was already unlocked, then we've got many more hero tokens. I'm surprised we haven't seen that come up any more times while doing these rolls. A couple more for Torchy. Tatsumi. Nothing for Bovus in a while. It's like it's going to be a while before I get him to 3-star. It's going to be quite a bit more gold before we can get him all the way up there. And let's do one more. Another Monarch. See all these silvers. I think if we were just rolling 10,000 at a time, this is the kind of thing you'd see. We start getting gold near the end just because that's the requirement, that 5 gold chests per 100,000. It's the only reason we get to see this many of them. I do like that they've built a lot of those kind of things into the game, that if you save up a little more, you get a better reward. It's just nice to feel like there's ways you can kind of optimize the way that you're spending resources in the game. And that'll be our last one. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes. There's still a lot of things that come out of that update. And there'll probably be some more videos coming out before too long that talk about those changes and the implications and how we can change our offensive and defensive teams on My Dungeon. As always, let me know if you have any specific questions, if there's anything you like, and thanks for